Push the button, everybody.
Hey, welcome to Bears Banter. My name is Bernard Muhammad. Alongside me today is Guy Moore, Tammy Harris, Jay Beasley, and Mike Quick. All these ones hiding his face
in the witness protection program.
You can't show your face today.
That's a nice hat you got on, Square.
Man, I was going to wear my Bears hat, but I just couldn't even do it, man. I almost started to borrow a Sigma hat from Jay. Shit. That's how bad this was, man. Shoot. Oh,
hey, I'd like to see the Bears fall today to the Vikings 31-17. The Bears end the season by not beating anybody in the division other than the Detroit Vikings. I mean, not Detroit, but the Detroit Lions is the only body.
And didn't they just beat Green Bay?
What's that?
Didn't they just beat Green Bay today too?
Green Bay sucks too.
Oh, you talking about the Lions?
Yeah,
you talking about the Lions beating Green Bay? No, I was talking about the Bears have not beat anybody in the division other than the Lions. They lost to everybody in the division twice, other than the Lions. So that tells you where you are as far as what decision that needs to be made tomorrow. Because if you're not beating
today,
at least somebody tomorrow,
today,
it should just be today. Get us all out of this misery today. 6 weeks ago, yeah, last year, really.
That too.
You know, I mean, I don't understand the justification. But looking at this game as it unfolds today, for a long time, this game, the Bears were only winning this game 3-0, and the Bears were playing. To me, it was playing out like it played out in the first game against the Bears and the Vikings, where the Bears fall to them 17-9. But in that game, Nagy passed on several field goals in that game as well. Like they had the game in control. But when you're only beating a team 3-0, I really don't understand why would you pass on points when your team still does not score more than 17 points without any assistance from the defense. I see you nodding your head, Jay. What you got, Jay?
Happy Founders Day, brother.
Yeah,
thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Man, look, let me tell y'all something. If Nagy never be fired, today was the day. Like I text y'all, Nagy went out on his terms. He went out on his own terms today. You cannot tell me any football team, Pee Wee League to the NFL, is 4th and 1 in the red zone on the goal line 3 times, and you drop back and pass. That's fireable right there. So like I told y'all, he went out on his own terms. You know, y'all was saying they should kick the field goal. Why? It don't even matter. It didn't even matter, man. Look, let me tell you something. Nagy went out on his terms today. He was like, hey, I'm getting fired. I don't care what happened. I'm passing every chance I get. And it's sad that the players have to actually go through this. But that second half, I just started laughing. I hate it for the players, but I'm glad Nagy did what he did. Because if he didn't seal his fate any other time, he did it today. Bottom line, point blank, period. It's laughable. It's laughable, man. It's laughable.
Hey,
yeah, I would
he did it his way.
he did it his way.
Man.
He did it. He went out on his own terms. Thank you. Thank you.
What was that?
I'm with Jay. I don't mind that they went for it on 4th and 1, you know, in the red zone. What I'm mad about is the plays that were called in the red zone. That's what I think the problem is. I mean, there really wasn't anything to lose in this game. So it really wasn't bad for them to go for it. But the Bears going in, they just didn't make the right decisions. They didn't have a viable game plan. I mean, they made a lot of stupid decisions like they have all year with the plays that they chose to call in certain situations. And, Nagy just didn't care. He didn't care. He was going to do what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I was saying that Chipotle, man, you got too many X's and O's on it. When I was looking at Nagy, I'm like, there we go.
And the funny thing about it is, you are who you are, and I'm mad about it when they go on 4th and 1 because I know who they are, and those are the plays they're gonna call. He's shown that's what he's gonna call, so he's better off kicking the field goal. That's why I was like, kick the field goal. Now maybe other teams that I know may call the plays. I may say, hey, go for it, but I know what Nagy's gonna call. He's proven he is who he is. He just lucked up in 2018. He just caught a team that was just so poorly coached by John Fox. That was a much better team, and he just caught lightning in the bottle that year. That's all that happened with Nagy. What was that? Quick.
Man, I'm trying to. I know I usually come on here and be cracking jokes and all type of stuff. This is a serious day in Bears football. I mean, I on the pregame show, I picked the Vikings to win, and the Bears go up 14-3 at halftime. And I mean, in the blink of an eye, it just turned around. I mean, this guy. I was talking about this on the pregame, but if it's 4th and 1, you give the ball to the running back, who's probably one of your best offensive players. And if you don't get it from there, you just say, hey, they was better than us on that play. Or you try to devise another play. But this here, man, this got to stop, man, because I just can't take it no more, man. I mean, I'm going to do like Plank next year. If they don't fire this dude, I'm taking the other team 2-0 on every damn prediction. This is sad, man. I mean, it's like they're gonna keep feeding us, dog mess and keep calling it caviar. Hey, just eat it one more time. This is bad. This is really bad.
4th and 1, man. 4th and 1, 5 wide.
Multiple times.
4th and 1 on the 1, 3 times, and you run 5 wide. Man, you got to be kidding me, man. You have got to be kidding me. It's laughable. I'm so glad I went to work today and didn't sit at home to watch that. Man, and I wound up just catching the end of the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, and enough to know I took my break. And I ran in the shanty. I ran in the office. I picked up my phone real quick, and I saw it was halftime. The Bears went at 14-3. I'm like, okay, this is something that I can see, but I wasn't privy to what the play calling was. And then when I was able to see some of the 3rd quarter and most of the 4th quarter, I was like, oh my God, this is fireable.
Well, like you said,
to me, this is a good day to me. I've been laughing ever since I was, and I'm going to actually watch the game again because, of course, I record every game. I'm actually going to watch it because I want to just sit and have a good laugh at his expense. I hate it.
You better watch it after 9 o'clock so you can go to sleep.
At his expense, but at his expense, he went out his way. And hey, you know what? Sayonara, Arrivederci, all that stuff.
Ovita Zane,
all that.
Ovita
Zane, all that. He went out his way, and it showed. It absolutely showed today. That was atrocious, man.
See, but you know what, though, man? I'm going to tell you something that just I can't understand. What I can't understand is there are 31 teams in this league that would get down on their knees, even as atheists, and pray for 200-yard running backs. We got 200-yard running backs, and we don't run the ball. I just can't believe it, man. I picked the Vikings to win for this reason. And it's like, you know what? If I had more faith in the offense, that they would actually run the ball more, control the clock. When they got down the red zone, have this thing saying, I don't care if it's 4th and 1. I don't care what it is. Everybody and their mother, father, sister, and brother knew that this next play we were going to run the ball. We didn't make it. I'd be good with that. But like you said, you got 5 wide on the 4th down. Any other team, like the problem is, it's like a monkey see, monkey do thing. But you look at great teams, if they gonna run on a fourth down, here come a slant that you can't defend, and they gonna get their 5 yards. We don't do that. We get 5 guys out. It's like the first one there is gonna pay the Chipotle tab. It just never show up. But glad the season is over. Now I'm gonna set my alarm clock to not just get up in the morning, but just to see the waiver wire, and hopefully the Nagy's the first one.
Well,
just real quick. Well, yeah, he was. But just real quick, just to let you know that Nagy just did this his way. A couple of weeks ago, what happened? They got on the goal line. It was what, 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. What happened? They put Tonga in the backfield as a fullback. So it ain't like the plays ain't in their playbook. You know what I'm saying? They put Tonga in the backfield as a fullback. They hand the ball off to Montgomery. Touchdown. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But Nagy really showed himself today.
Hey, Pete, can you pull Jason's thing back up again? Because he said something, and I'm just every time when I'm reading it, I'm just shaking my head. Jason Brosnan. Jason, look at this. Look at this, y'all. Vikings were 27th against the run, so of course they chose to pass it 47 times. 47 times.
Absolutely.
Man, right. That's the caveat of caveats right there, man.
And of course, when I picked the Vikings, I talked about Andy Dalton, and of course y'all cousin threw another pick six. I mean, y'all cousin threw another pick six. That's all I'm gonna say.
They must have paid $9,000 a bullet for the red rifle because obviously the gun didn't have no bullets in it.
That's a pea shooter, man. That ain't no rifle. That's a track starter gun.
Now, has there, other than last week, has there been any games this year that the red rifle played in that he didn't throw an interception and that he scored more than 17 points? Besides last week,
there was one game that last game, that game that you played on that electric football game, and they sacked Andy Dalton and knocked him out the game. That's the only game. No, not at all.
Yeah, so even this red rifle experience, I know some people, fans had. I've saw in some Facebook groups when they won. Hey, if Andy had played all year, XYZ, I don't agree with that because Andy Dalton has shown, and even the games that he played, that you get a few good drives out of him, and then all of a sudden, nothing started happening, and then all of a sudden you see these turnovers by Andy, and therefore the Bears have evaluated the quarterback position again as a person who they thought was going to be a starter, and I don't get this. This is why this needs to go all the way from pace. Hey, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was going to say, I respectfully disagree with you about Andy Dalton as far as this. If you call the right plays, he's a serviceable quarterback. You're not calling the right plays. So
you know who he is?
No. What I mean by that is, if you cover up your deficiencies in the quarterback that you have, the turnovers wouldn't happen. Because the bottom line is, if you running the football, which is the strength of your team, you don't have to worry about him dropping back 47 times.
And you know who he is? Man. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna go back to history.
That's just my thing. Any quarterback can be serviceable. Any quarterback can be serviceable.
Right, that's true.
Except him.
Right system.
But Andy Dalton is Steve DeBerg, man. Steve DeBerg, when the quarterback will get knocked out, he'd be a serviceable quarterback, and after every play, he looks over the sideline, not for plays, but to see if he's about to get yanked again. And he does what he does right there in that spot. Andy Dalton would be a good situational guy. If your quarterback get knocked out, we just need a body to stand in there to kind of move the ball a little bit. He ain't a guy that you need to have starting. And then if you got a guy who don't know nothing about offense, he looks even worse than what he is.
I'm going to do like Plank now.
Here you go. Come on down.
Hey, man, Andy Dalton is pure de-adulterated trash. He's not a good quarterback. He's not a good backup. He was in Dallas last year with weapons all over the place and still sucked. So let's stop that right there. The man is trash. He's been trash since he left Cincinnati. He's not serviceable because with all those weapons in Dallas, he still sucked. And that's the bottom line. He is not serviceable. The weapons he had last year, not even comparable to here with the Bears. And the man likes to get a ball to the other team.
That's a good point. Somebody said, Man said, we don't have the O-line personnel for a quarterback who is immobile. That's actually a really good point, though, in that respect.
And technically, I said this. After Foles won that game the other week, I would have started him for the rest of the season. A couple reasons why. I would have got my money out of that investment. Foles only played in one game this year and walked away with this massive paycheck for a third string backup. He would have played out because you were both of your ones and twos was hurt. We would have just played him just like, hey man, we're gonna get our money's worth out of this guy. And he probably would have won some games.
And not only that,
he's gonna build a team next year.
He's gonna build a team next year. Which is the reason why I was saying they should have never brought Dalton back. Because Dalton ain't gonna be here next year. Nick Foles is under contract next year.
Yeah, I would have played Foles just to get this dude played in one game and walked out with. I mean, what are we paying him like?
8. I think his number was somewhere around the 8 million mark.
8 million for one game.
For one game,
man, I could still go back and play for that.
Hey,
so I want to say this: everybody still. I think blaming the O-line is a cop-out because the O-line, even though they haven't fully come together because of injuries and whatnot, the O-line became somewhat effective at protecting the quarterback, and the O-line was not the reason for Andy Dalton's sacks. They were not the reason for his sacks. So I think just trying to put the blame there is just a cop-out from early in the season when it just completely wasn't coming together. Number two, I 1,000% agree with Jay. You know, and I know Jay beat him up the week before last, but I really wasn't. You have to use the talent that you have effectively, period. And you can make a team winnable. It is about play calling, it is about play design, and it is about using your assets to cover up your deficiencies.
What's up?
So, you know, this game, I picked the Bears because it was a winnable game. And like a few other games, at least 3 or 4 other games this season, those games were winnable too. And that's why I went with the Bears. Unfortunately, the play calling just let us down because it was winnable.
Hey, but you know what though? Here's something else that probably people didn't see. They put Tevin Jenkins in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, why is he in there now? He should have been in the first part of the game. I just watched. I said, okay, I'm gonna watch him for about 5 minutes, and I'm looking, and that dude was just pushing dudes off the line. I'm like, okay, now you got your left side help right there, but they took your boy out. But as y'all was saying this whole time, man, this should have been a game where they just should have said, hey, win or lose, let's just put the rookies in.
Again, bad coaching decisions.
Offensively, I don't think the Bears' offensive line is as bad as a lot of people make it out.
No, they're not. They're not.
I mean, Mustafa is horrible at center, but I do think the Bears' offensive line is a lot better than people give them credit for. Not that they're great.
Cody Whitehair over to the center.
They could get the job done. I will say sometimes they get sacks because of poor route combinations. There are times where you got a game today where Andy had time, but the route combinations are so crazy. Like when they run the deep pass, everybody's deep. There's no high-low routes or anything, and so you see times where like everybody route may be 15 yards or more, and you're like, okay, nobody, you know, he's still waiting for the routes to develop, and there's nobody for a or everybody will run like curl routes at the same time, right? So it's like the route combination, and then there's no consistency in what they're going to do offensively. So even though I'm not saying they got a great offensive line, I'm just saying the offensive line is not as bad as people might think it is. But anyway, with that said, I get the Bears.
Oh, wait, let me say this. Let me say this.
Offensive F today. What you got, Tammy?
I just want to say this. Like, everybody's talking about how long Justin was holding the ball. How freaking long was Andy holding the ball?
Right.
And he's a veteran. I'm like, what? I'm like, throw it away. Some of those sacks he definitely didn't have to take.
on them
Tammy, in
fourth
the
down.
third quarter, there was a play in the third quarter that I was counting seconds. Andy Dalton had about 8 seconds to throw the ball, and it was an incompletion. And I'm like, you're right. I mean, you know what? But with the offensive line, I think it's really less about just they are serviceable and they're doing. They've gotten much better as the years gone. But like you said, Bernard, you know these crazy routes they running. If you got 8 seconds to throw a ball, somebody got to be open somewhere. That's
Hey, what's your grade for the offense, guy? Let's get these grades and move over to the defense.
there it is. I can't even say no more. It's just the same old same. I mean, you know, it's just almost like giving the toddler the keys to an Aston Martin and expecting him to go to the store for you to get you some beer. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just ain't gonna happen. Oh, Keith said Jiggins was in the game early, but I guess that was when they didn't give up too much anything. But needless to say, I'm giving the offense an F because I'm just tired of looking at this. And like I said before, you got two guys who are potential. Montgomery definitely, Herbert could definitely be a 100-yard a game guy. We got two studs in the backfield, and I ain't no coach. And as bad as we are, I'd have came out there and said, hey, you know what? Every 4 downs, we run it 3 until we can get a lot of yards wherever you can stop it. I'll pass it as a mode of surprise, and I'd probably be able to complete more balls. I give him the finger.
Okay, so you give him an F. Hey, quick, how do you grade the offense today?
Nothing else to say. F. That's it. I'm done. F.
Hey, what about you, Jay?
I give it an N for Nagy.
No. An N for no.
I give it an N for Nagy. Nagy went out. That's all, and that's all I really got to say about the offense. Because you know, the one thing about it is, you know, I'm glad Darnell Mooney got over 1,000 yards. That was cool. You know, for him in his second year. So that was cool to see. But they was constantly feeding him the ball. So were you trying to get him this over 1,000 yards? And see, I don't look at it like that because to me, you know, just like they was trying to get Justin Jefferson, you know, to break Randy Moss record and all this old stuff. To me, that ain't part of the. If it happens during the flow of a game, then that's okay. But they was constantly feed. How many times did Mooney run a reverse today? You know, so it's like I give his offense an F, but I give it an N for Nagy because Nagy did his thing today. He showed himself today. I just recorded his press conference. I cannot wait to watch his press conference to see exactly what he said. But yeah, N for Nagy and an F on the grade scale.
Okay. Hey Jay, you said they was feeding him today, Mooney. The interesting thing is last week, the Bears were desperately trying to get Cole Kmet a touchdown for the year. And he ended the year without getting no touchdowns this year. But I'm surprised that they didn't try to get him that touchdown because that's what they was trying to throw it to when Montgomery ran that Wildcat. He was trying to throw it to Kmet. So that's interesting that they did not try to get Kmet a touchdown this year. Hey, Tammy, where did you get an offense?
I'm in offensive D, and that's really because of the first half. But I get the offensive coaching an F for sure. But the offense itself, I think, could have gotten a much better grade with better play calling. I think they could have made some plays happen.
Okay, you get the D. Yeah, hey, thank everybody who's watching us today on YouTube and Facebook. Chicago Bears fall 31-17 to the Vikings. Please hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, go join the Bears Banter Facebook page. Hey, let's move over to the defensive side of the field. Hey, let's talk about the defense. Who wants to start talking about the defense? First half. What was the halftime score? What was it?
14-3.
14-3.
So all the points were scored by the defense. Was scored by the Vikings in the second half. Hey, Mike, let's you start off. What do you think about the defense? Give us your analysis of the defense as far as how it looked, as far as going ahead, and what was the grade for today?
Well, my question, I was watching, I think it might have been at the end of the third quarter. And my question was, when they were holding the Vikings to 3 points, I was like, well, we were always talking about the young guys playing against them the first time, and it was kind of a similar result. So I was like, man, are these guys what's the separation of the the starters and the second team, or the Vikings suck that bad? Because Kirk Cousins is like Andy Dalton to me. He sucks. All right, so getting to that point, when the second half came around, I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Um, we need to do our front seven is not our problem. Our secondary has been our problem for the past couple of years, and we need to do something to get somebody that can play some defense in here and cover some receivers. I mean, we were saying the same thing last year. Defensively, you gave up 28 points in the second half. So you get for the first half, you get an A. Second half, you get an F, but it's not going to average out to a C. I got to give you a D minus. It's just bad. I mean, we can't. Man, it's just a sad day. And the only thing that'll make this day better is if they come on later on tonight and say that Nagy was fired. That's the only thing that'll make this day better. You cannot be up in games like that and just get a game away. But I mean, the offense with those fourth down calls and things like that, that swings the momentum back to the other team. And you swung the momentum back to the other team and kept swinging it back to them. I mean, what did you want your defense to do in the end? I remember playing, and we'd be sitting there, and we'd be like, we'll probably holler out game changer or switch or something. And you sitting over there like, dang, man, we just gave them the God, dog. Grab your helmet, run back on the field, and you start looking at your offensive guys like, man, y'all better come on, man. But I gave the defense a D minus.
A D minus. Okay, I see Plank get a defense, a D plus.
Hey.
Plank said the defense gave up three scores in the second half. Dalton threw a pick six. The defense gets a D plus. Tammy, what do you have a defense? What's your observation?
I'm gonna give the defense a C. And the first half they played great. They were aggressive. They were putting pressure on. They weren't giving up points. They were strong. They were solid. Second half, it completely fell apart. I don't know. I don't fully know the reason. I don't know if it's just because they felt defeated. They felt the game getting away from them. But you can't completely, yes, they are professionals and yes, they have a job to do. But at some point, you can't feel like you're doing it by yourself. And for every good thing that they did in the first half, it was completely wiped away, in the third quarter, because they just couldn't keep it up. But I give them a C because I think they had a whole lot of heart in the first half and did everything that they were supposed to do in the first half, just completely fell apart in the second half.
Okay. Hey, Mo, who attends boxing with me, Mo puts, this was definitely not a defensive loss. It's only so many times the offense cannot score or get the ball up before they lose morality, which is true. Guy, what you have?
I'm gonna give him a C minus, and here's why. After they scored in the third quarter, whatever it was, I think the Vikings did 2 plays for like 89 yards. And remember this thing on Sinbad when Sinbad was talking about how black people, you be walking down the street, you trip, and you try to play it off, you trip, and then you just shoot a jump shot. Eddie Jackson should have did that, because I'm looking at when he threw that touchdown, Eddie Jackson had his back turned like this, and then he just turns around and does like this, and the guy scores. I'd have just fell out, because there's no way in the world that could happen. But then, too, on the other side with the defense, if your offense is not scoring, I mean, we talked about this for like the last couple seasons, man. The defense gets disenchanted. They play lights out every game, win, lose, or draw. And when we get this bad field position or we do stupid stuff on offense, now the defense is almost like Captain Save 'em, though. It's like, help us, defense, help us. And they weren't able to do it. Yeah, they gave up more points in the second half. That's true. But I would think that if our offense was even somewhat serviceable, it'd be a different score. So I'd just go ahead and give them a C.
Okay, you give him a C. Hey, Jason, who has co-host on this show twice, we probably bring Jason back again if he can make it, as we maybe do shows in the off season. Jason said the defense fell flat on their face in the second half. can't keep a high gear run. Can't keep a high gear running when the offense set in neutral.
Hold on.
True. Hey, what about you? Quick.
No, I went already. Jay.
You went already? Okay, Jay.
Yeah, it's Jay. Defense sucks. All right, that's my comment.
What you got, Jay?
I'll have to give him a D, and the reason why is this has been the theme of this entire miserable season. The Bears come out at halftime, 14-3. Minnesota gets the opening kickoff in the second half. The defense lets them go right down the field and score. So now you're at 14-10. Then you have your offense that comes out here and turns the ball over on downs. Right back, they scored a field goal. So what it really comes down to is coaching and second half adjustments. They came out flat in the third quarter. They gave up their long drive for the touchdown, and then the snowball effect. That's what I call it, the snowball effect. Everything started happening, and once the snowball started rolling down the hill, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happened. That's what happened to them today. And then, plays like the Justin Jefferson touchdown where Eddie Jackson turned around and looked like, oh my God, what happened? The pick six. All those things just continues to put the defense in bad situations. And so, with that falls on coaching, but the players are accountable and they have to make plays. So I have to get them a D as well.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I give the defense a C minus today. I give the coaching on defense a F for not adjusting at all to what was happening in the second half. Unfortunately, with the Bears, that because they don't score enough offensively, when you have these lapses in the secondary, what they seem like they have in a lot of games where somebody just wide open, like that touchdown that Jay is referring to, it was almost comical on how Eddie Jackson, that ball was in the air, and
for so long,
where the ball was at, and
right,
yeah, and he just caught the ball on him, and then just the play before that. The other touchdown, I think Eddie ended up being in the screen, but I don't think that was Eddie's man. I think somebody else was taking him.
Did cornerback slip?
The KJ Osborne touchdown. The KJ Osborne touchdown. The dude was wide open, but the defensive back slipped. But on that play, it was two people wide open on that play.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was wide open. Nobody was
within 10 yards of him. So it's just these lapses that they go through. It's been like this all season, man. It's been like this all season.
And I'm not trying to make an excuse for the defense, though, man. But it's just like I said before, man. It's like your offense is stagnant, and it's almost like they go out of bounds. Like, come on, defense. And I think the defense has got even more pressure on them to just kind of like bend but don't break or even stop guys on every play. I mean, I get it. Guys are supposed to know that their jobs, and I know our secondary got burnt and stuff like that, but you keep going to the well, man. I can understand if it's maybe one or two times a game, but every time you do a 3-and-out or you do something stupid like on fourth down, and now you expect the defense, the whole thing, they probably looking at us like, well, damn, score some points. So,
Yeah, but a lot of that fourth,
though, that they never looked like they all through the season. I will give them credit that they did look like there was no dissension on the sideline that you could see. Even when bad plays happen, I never really seemed like a guy ever really like somebody like went off on them. You never really saw guys like if they messed up, they went to the sideline, throwing their helmet. But I don't know if that's good or bad, to be honest, because I do want people to be upset when I think about it when you mess up. Some players do need to be like, hey, what are you doing? And whatever. So I did think watching the Bears this year, offensively and defensively, there was times where, some teams where the defense have to just tell the offense, like, man, y'all need to carry y'all load. Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't doing crap. And to just be so, we all got along good and et cetera, like they said in the press conference last year. Hey, that's not good enough. I want my team to have compassion. I want my team to be upset when they lose. I don't want my team to feel like losing is okay. I want people on the sideline to hey, we didn't waste 3 hours watching you. I want you to feel like you waste 3 hours by losing. So I don't know. That's
Wait a minute.
great.
Hold on.
Bernard,
Man.
Bernard, in this soft touch generation, you can't criticize people.
Yeah.
People can't handle a kick in the butt, which sometimes people need a kick in the butt. There is something to be said for firing people up and motivating them to be better. And in this generation of soft, sensitive people who need a hug for everything, they can't handle criticism. They can't handle tough love. And I think that's a societal problem.
It's a bigger problem in this planet right now, man. I think the reason why Tevin Jenkins didn't play is because they sent him to my crib. He stole my snow globe, man. Gave it to Nagy as a parting gift. Now I'm mad. He don't deserve that. I give him some Zycam though. Spray some of that whatever it is in his throat.
I got a little piece, man, that I would love to actually see the Bears at practice, because all of this starts at practice. How competitive is practice? You hear no reports, and sometimes when you're in a competitive nature, people get into it. You don't hear anything about the Bears fighting each other as far as on the in the one-on-ones, the 7-on-7 drills. We had to send a guy out of practice because he was his competitive nature took over and he was fighting with another guy. You saw that what was that last week on the bench with Washington?
Oh, Jalen Ramsey.
No, when he was poking the guy in his face, and the guy got up and swung on him and stuff like that. It in football, we a family, but brothers fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's
Right.
the point that I'm trying to get home, is because when the last time the Bears went to the Super Bowl in 2006, those two offensive linemen were fighting. One of them broke his hand on the other one and things like that. And if you go back and if you watch any of the interviews from the 85 Bears, them dudes used to go at it. And they was competitive. I mean, they had a panel show that I watched, and it was from about 25 years ago. And they talked about their number ones going against their number ones, and they would go hard every day. And that was how Dicker had practice. And it was built like that for a reason, because Buddy Ryan had the defense and Dicker was with the offense, and they used to go at it. And you look at that, even earlier this year with AD and Dwight Howard for the Lakers and stuff. You have those type of things, but can anybody tell me of any instance where the Bears have had any of that at all?
Nope. And to piggyback on that, Jalen Ramsey slapped his own player. And when I last checked right now, they up 10-0 against San Francisco.
Yeah, that year you referring to, Mike, even Thomas Jones, if I remember correctly, he punched Cedric Benson in practice. I mean, that's the competitive nature. Like, hey, you're a rookie. You're not about to take my job, right? Yeah. And I think Mike Brown kind of laid something on Cedric Benson that year. Like, no, you know what? You're not running hard enough. Thomas Jones is our guy. I mean, I know we're not condoning fighting, but that's
no. We need a what's his name? Marcellus Bennett. We need him back on the squad where he'll just go slap you just because.
But you think about this: Olin Kreutz, when Olin Kreutz was here, they were nasty, and they would get at it in practice. They were just downright nasty. We got a bunch of nice guys on our team. We just have a bunch of nice guys. Look at hey, Plank. What is that about, man? What is all this about, Plank? Come on, man. Stop it, man. But no,
I mean, it's funny. Can you y'all talk about fighting, but y'all have such a problem with somebody shaking their finger at the sideline?
No. That's the difference. We talking about competitive in practice to make the team better. I ain't saying they have to fight.
For real.
Huh?
You would fight on the field for real. Hey, you would fight for real. You talked about you getting kicked off.
Man, we just gonna let you go fight Chad Ochocinco, man, for charity, man.
I've gotten thrown out a couple games here and there, but it's okay. It's okay. But it was the competitive nature. I'm not sitting out there handing out Oscar awards to people like, hey, how you doing, man? Yeah. I mean, we could be cool, but we had I think I told Nutty, the guy when I was in New Hampshire that played the other corner, we never spoke to each other. We did not like each other. I mean, just did not flat out like each other. We just didn't groove. But we went out there and played the game, and it'll be many times we in the huddle, man. Screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you. You know what I'm saying? He get an interception. I need to get one now. You know, because he not better than me, and that's how Omar Taylor from my University of Montana. You still suck. Anyway, so we'll go there.
Hey, let's look at the record this year. Hey, Guy finished the season 12-5. Quick finished the season 12-5. I finished the season 11-6. Jay finished the season 10-7. Tammy finished the season 6-11, and Plank finished the season 6-11.
The Bears.
This was a hard season for all us to watch as fans. I mean, I think even though some of us, I think Guy had the Bears going 7-10. I believe Jay
6-11.
7-11. Jay had a similar record, right, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the Bears.
I said 7-10, I believe.
Okay, I think I had the Bears winning 8-9 this year. I think Tammy might have hit somewhere maybe 10-7.
I kept going back and forth between 9-8 and 10-7, and I still don't think that was unrealistic because we should have split with Minnesota. We should have won that Pittsburgh game. I still feel like we were cheated, and I would have to go back and look at the other 1 or 2 losses where I thought it was definitely a winnable game. Yeah, they cheated. Those bogus calls.
Whoa. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, Quick had them at 6-11, and they 6-11. I just want y'all to know that.
So
I just need you to know.
At 6-11.
They were trying to start Andy Dalton. Any game that he started, I went probably with the other team. You know what? I'm just saying. If Justin would have started today, I would have went with the Bears. Andy Dalton, man, come on, stop playing. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Tammy. When you could look down this schedule this year and last year, and even 2019, and there were games that this team just outright blew to games where they actually just did get something in those games that cost them the games, like the Pittsburgh game. I mean, even though as much as that rule sucked, I mean, you can't give the other team opportunities because you're tying them, even though it's a stupid rule,
But it wasn't just that call. There were a lot of questionable calls in that game. And I don't remember all of them right now, but there were a ton of questionable calls in that game.
What was the question? No.
Yeah.
That was Jay that said that. No.
Mo said this, and I think this is something to build on. Mo said Jenkins is a nasty player. He's probably going to be the next Olin Cruz. That's why I like when when Jenkins went up and shoved that player that had hit Fields on that play, because to me, your offensive line needs to set some kind of mindset when they come out there, and nothing like those nasty guys on offense. I mean, I like that guy who, it may seem dirty, but when you standing by a pile and you better move out that pile because you got that one guy who's just going to come and he going to clean up anybody by the pile. Guess what? Teams don't like playing against guys like that. Nope. They get tired of them. They set a tone, and guess what?
It's a tone setter. Those are tone setters.
You build your offensive line around that nasty mentality, and there's no way those guys, when you got 4th and 1, they're angry if you're trying to take them off the field to punt. But when they don't care because they don't think they could get it,
Yeah, that's the good, bad, and ugly of it, though, too, Bernard.
And they like, we're going to get this 4th and 1, and the coach know they're going to get this 4th and 1. The Bears' offensive line is not that they bad; they too nice. They got
that was what I was saying,
and they negated. And you know what? They negated the whole thing when Jermaine Ifedi came and pushed Jenkins. That negated everything that he did. Because the thing is, if I'm Jermaine Ifedi, I'd have been standing there to be helping my guy. Then I went to the sidelines and cussed him out. But when he did something that the offensive line is supposed to do, and you on the offensive line and you more concerned about him getting that penalty and want to push him on national TV, now everybody else looking around like, well, damn, I was going to do the same thing. But what should have happened is when, first of all, not just him pushing him, but when you look at that tape again, Jenkins is standing around 4 or 5 guys, and it ain't nobody else around.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
let's grade the special teams, and then let's move on to what we think is going to happen tomorrow, or what we want to happen tomorrow. I get a bad special team. I give them a B today, B minus. It was okay. They made the field goals they had to. They had a couple of decent returns. What about you, Jay? How do you grade the special teams?
B.
B. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Quick?
I mean, when you talk about special teams, I'm looking for something special.
Special,
So
right.
I only give them a C. I mean, when you run out Santos, you like 99% of the chance know he's gonna make that field goal. But I'm looking for something in the return game. I think Devin Hester spoiled us, man. Here,
Yeah, he did.
I think
Yeah,
he
he
just
did.
spoiled us because and you guys get a chance, go check out I Am Athlete when Pac-Man Jones talked about he was the best returner in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly.
And he said, wait a minute, they was arguing for second place. I'm the best to ever do this here.
But he was Pac-Man laughing because he even knew it wasn't true.
Right, like, come on, man. And you talk about a guy that when you talk about special teams, I'm looking for something special. So I give him a C.
Give him a C.
They didn't do nothing special.
What about you, Tammy? How do you grade special team?
Yeah, I mean, I give them a C because I don't really think that what they did was memorable. They did their job. You know, they made the field goals that they were sent out there to make, and I don't think that there was much special on the return game. So
yeah, no fumbles, no long return.
Pedestrian. They did their job. They were serviceable. C.
Okay, see. Hey, now what do y'all think is going to happen tomorrow, or what do you want to happen tomorrow?
Jesus.
Man, I'm gonna be up like a
I
little
don't think we
kid
got
on
enough time.
Christmas.
On Christmas,
Tammy's
I know.
almost
Santa
like
Claus.
Jesus right now.
When you set your alarm clock and your alarm clock, you put a thing on it like Nagy's birthday or something like that, or be gone Nagy, instead of just thinking about setting your alarm clock to wake up.
Hey, so
I'd
Guy,
be
what
happy
do
for
you
him.
want to happen tomorrow, Guy? What you think?
Well,
tomorrow?
Nagy's gonna be gone. I got a feeling that what the Bears do is they'll do one good thing and then they'll do that and think that suffices for everything. I think Nagy's gonna be gone. I think Pace is gonna be relieved of his duties as a general manager, moved upstairs, and they're gonna bring two new guys up in here. And then it's gonna be the same old same until because they talk a good game about Phillips. Oh, we're going to relinquish his football responsibilities. And then this ding dong came on 2 or 3 days later saying that through an unnamed source, someone laughed and said, oh, Ted Phillips has nothing to do with football. Everybody, their mother and father knows he's got something to do with the football thing. So why did they wait till 4 or 5 days after they announced him stepping away from football operations? But like I said, Nagy gone. I'd like to see Pace gone. I'd like to see Phillips gone, and let's just start from scratch. But what's going to happen is Nagy's going to be gone. Pace is going upstairs, and we're going to bring in two guys. And one of the guys we bring in going to be a guy that we're going to be like, huh?
Okay. Hey, Jay, what do you want to happen and what you think is going to happen?
Fire everybody. That's what I want. I want everybody fired. Unfortunately, I know that's not going to happen because the bottom line is the Bears organization is not getting rid of Ted Phillips until they get the stadium. They need him for the stadium.
Yeah.
If he don't do anything, he's going to help them with this stadium. So I already know he's going to be here. And as far as Pace goes, that's the rumblings that's going around that he's going to be bumped up. I don't know how a person get a promotion when they bad at their job. You don't get a promotion normally. You get demoted. You get demoted. You don't get promoted.
I'm sorry,
but
Jason had me cracking up.
But so I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do know Nagy's gonna be fired, and I just hope that whoever replaces him, that they bring in just a football mind, somebody that knows football. I'm hearing all these rumblings about Trace Armstrong, then I'm hearing about some ex-players trying to consult with the McCaskies about who they should hire and things of this nature. But tomorrow, the only thing I want to know is Matt Nagy is not the coach of this football team.
Let's check out plane reservations, y'all. And if it's somebody on there named Buster Screen, then that may be Nagy.
Hey, Tammy, what about you as far as those questions? What do you want to happen, but what do you think is actually going to happen?
Well, I mean, I agree with Jay and Guy. I would like for Matt Nagy and Pace and Phillips to be gone. But realistically, I know it's not going to happen. Tomorrow, the only thing that I think is going to happen, I agree, is that Matt Nagy is going to be gone. I think we're going to have to wait to see what happens with Pace, but it is very possible that, he could be moved up. And Jay, you know exactly why he moved up. Because if it was somebody different, he'd be gone. Phillips ain't going nowhere. I agree with them on that. But I do think that his role is going to change. Now, what that's going to be, I don't know. I think it's going to be a very painful off season, and we are going to pray that the Bears make some of the right decisions that they need to make. I believe, I really do. I know the Bears have done the same wrong things for a long time, but I really do believe that they are about to make some changes. I think they're going to do some things differently. Now, how drastically different? I don't know, but they've already done some things different. They brought in Tony Dungy to consult. They brought in another person, Bill. I forgot his
Bill
last name.
Polian. Bill
Yeah,
Polian.
to consult. The Bears don't do that. They are talking to, like Jay said, former players. I do think, I believe in my spirit that they want to do the right thing for the organization. I just think that they don't know how. So I hope that in bringing in all of these people, that they actually listen to people that know what they're talking about and heed their advice. Because I really believe that they are finally ready to make a change. Now, whether they do it effectively or not, that's a wait and see thing. But I believe that they are. They're
Hey, I
ready.
got an
We ain't gonna
idea.
find that out tomorrow, though.
I got an idea. We kidnap George McCaskey and let Virginia make all the decisions because she's gonna say yes to everything. If we get the right person, we're gonna get rid of the general manager, the vice president, and the coach. Yes. You know what I'm saying? We let her make the decision. Then once everything is made, then we can let him go for like Starbucks or something like that.
Yeah, I think
I would really love.
Jason makes a good point on Facebook. Jason said he wants to see George in the press conference by himself. I would like to see that too, because last year in the press conference, I thought that was just so awkward, even in their presentation, to try to pretend like Ted Phillips had nothing to do with the decision, but he's the one answering the majority of the questions in there. So, and if he has nothing to do with football operations, then why are you there talking about extension? So if George is the one making those decisions, well, not George, but George in that aspect, then why is Ted Phillips? So I think that is a good point to see him out there by himself, on regardless of what decision is made. But as far as what I think is going to happen, I believe Nagy is going to be fired for sure. I'm not sure if Pace is going to be fired from the organization. I think they're going to spin it some way, like y'all said it, and they're going to do a thing like the Bulls did with John Paxton or whatever, and just move him to another position. Because with the Bears, when they're too loyal to a fault to people when they like them, kind of like the Bulls were to him, to Paxton and people like that. Ted Phillips is going to be in this organization. I don't know if his role is going to change, but Ted Phillips, I don't believe is going anywhere. That's what I think is going to happen tomorrow. What I want to happen tomorrow, which is not going to happen, I would like to see all three of them fired, but I know that's not going to happen. Quick, what do you?
What I will say, I'm sorry, go ahead, quick.
Well, I'm not going to be very long, but Nutty brought up the point I was going to make. They should look at the Bulls and look at what they did. Paxson and Foreman were the problem with the Bulls this whole time. They came in and cleaned out the front office and brought in the new GM, new president of operations and everything. And you look at where they are now. They sit atop of the Eastern Conference. And I mean, they brought in some pieces and everybody was scratching their head like, I don't know about that guy. I don't know about that guy. But this team that you see on the court every night, they competing. And so I think that Pace is still going to be here. I think Pace is actually going to probably be responsible for the guy who comes in as the new coach. So but I think he's going to move to a different position. But they need some more football-minded people in the front office. I've said that time and time again. And actually a guy who knows what a football looks like. So that's exactly what we need to do. And I think we need to improve our scouting department. We've gotten some guys, but I think we've missed out on a ton of guys in the draft over and over again. And you sit there and be like, man, this guy here was a 5th round pick, and this guy was a 6th. Man, we getting 5th and 6th round picks, and you like, well, damn, who the hell did he play for? We going to Georgia. Nothing against like Georgia Southern, but you look at Thomas Graham, who was at Oregon playing some high quality football, and he slipped because he sat out. But we just need to clean up. So I'm gonna be sitting up at night, almost like Santa Claus is coming for tomorrow. And if they don't fire this guy tomorrow,
they should fire him.
But you know what though?
They shouldn't even allowed him to have a press conference. They shouldn't even allow him to have a press conference today. I don't understand what's going to be the holdup.
I'm going to disagree on one thing, just only one thing you said, Jay, earlier. They don't need Pace. I mean, they don't need Phillips to seal this deal in Arlington. Let me tell you why.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Because first of all, and I'm going to tell you why. First and foremost, look at Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs had a horrible team. They had a horrible team. They blew that up. They brought in ownership. They brought in new guys, whatever it is. I get that. But see what happens with Phillips.
Epstein.
Yeah, he's a great. Phillips is the guy to help to seal the deal on this. But the question I'm asking from an investor is this: do I have a viable product? Okay, yes, you have a viable product because the Chicago Bears are, regardless of how good, bad, or indifferent, they're gonna do their thing. Now the question is this: with Phillips, what did he do that any other really good businessman or vice president who has business operations, you look around the league, that nobody else can do? Nothing. It'll sell itself. All he needs to do is just be credible. You could get rid of Phillips and still make that deal because the new guy that comes in is going to say, look, we the Chicago Bears, number one. Number two, we clean house for a reason because we want to show you that we're serious about putting a viable product out there. We clean house. We have reputable people in positions, and we're going to make this investment a better investment. Me, from a business standpoint, if I know what's going on with the Bears and Phillips is there, I'd be like, man, I ain't spending no money with y'all as long as this dude is there, regardless.
Okay.
The Bears.
Yeah. Silence.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I don't know if the Bears organization has the business savvy without Ted Phillips. I mean,
that's why they need Ted Phillips. Everybody else
he's not the only one.
Incompetent.
Yeah.
Everybody got people out there. Incompetent.
Yeah, the problem has been with Ted Phillips is not that he's not a businessman; it's the fact that he's been involved in football operations.
If I'm an investor, that's something I don't want. Phillips could be a great businessman. That's all I'm saying. But if you could put on paper, if I'm an investor, if you could say, okay, you're very good at what you do, but I need to have some language in the contract that says that you allow the people around you to do their jobs and you keep your hands off because I know you have no football experience. That's the only thing.
I think we're looking at it from the wrong standpoint. They're looking to purchase a stadium. The people that they buy in a stadium from could care less what they do with it once they get their money. They're not investing in the Bears. They don't care.
Right.
You know
the point is, and that's even another reason why you don't need
relationships. No, but business is about relationships. And if Ted Phillips is a good talker, a good businessman, a good salesman, him being in the room does make a difference on the bottom line of what the Bears pay for it and how the deal is structured. But it does.
But that's what an IPO is for. I mean, yeah, I know what you're saying. You're right.
But at the end of the day, the people selling the stadium don't care if the Bears win or lose. They care if they get their asking price for the stadium. That's all they care about.
Yeah, but like with an IPO, like what happens is from a business standpoint, yeah, you do want to look at the components involved as far as making the deal. But by the same token, it's like you ask yourself as a business, just say, for instance, Ted Phillips dies right now. If Ted Phillips dies, do I still want to make the deal? And if you're talking about from an investment standpoint, that's not going to keep you from buying it. So that's why I'm saying you kind of need him, but you really don't.
But the people selling the stadium are not investing in the Bears.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to find a way to get rid of that mofo.
I mean, he dies. This always have been the Bears' problem, in my opinion, is the Bears organization, like Jay mentioned, others mentioned. I always said for years, the argument in the 80s and prior to that was the Bears were cheap. Okay. That has not been the real issue to me in the last 20 or more years. I just think they're not football people. I think they want to put a winning product on out there. They don't know how to put a winning product out there. And they have just relied on Ted Phillips to be the person to put that winning product out there by allowing him to make those decisions with general manager and stuff like that. And he has proven that he's not good at that, but that doesn't mean he's not a good businessman. And that's what Tammy is saying too. That has nothing to do with his business part, but I would just like to see him totally out of football, period. Now, if he's needed there to get the stadium, that's fine. I mean, that's a big deal.
He's a part of a bad deal because we are the only team to pay $18 million to Mike Glennon. That was a bad deal. We are the only. That's what I'm like.
That was a Ryan Pace. Well, that was a Ryan Pace thing. And getting back to Ryan Pace.
No, Ted Phillips.
Getting back to Ryan Pace. My whole thing is, you know what? If Ryan Pace is part of the organization, I wouldn't even care. As long as he ain't in charge of making decisions, as far as football operations, as far as the 53-man roster, they can elevate him to the butler for all I care. As long as he's not part of making any football decisions, because he's had 7 years. He's had 7 years, and he gave a contract extension to Tariq Cohen when he didn't need to. They didn't negotiate with Allen Robinson when they should have. They cut Charles Leno when I said that they shouldn't have.
My boy, Leno.
Hey, who just got a 3-year, $37.5 million extension. Hey, it's just his decisions.
And Jay, to your point,
has he made some good decisions? Absolutely. But at the same time, some of his decisions have been bad. And I just don't want him making no type of football operation decisions.
What's the good ones?
He signed Khalil Mack. That was a good deal. That was a good deal.
We really didn't get the best out of that deal, dog.
No, we wind up not getting the best out of the deal. But at the time, that was the deal because the bottom line was this: his thinking was
there we go.
Okay,
that's the bad part. That's the bad part.
His thinking is like, okay, I got a quarterback that's going into his second year. I still got him on a rookie deal. If I got a dominating defense. If I can add one extra piece to this dominating defense, we could possibly make a run at the Super Bowl. And if you ask me, that 2018 team, it was possible for them to make a run at the
Jay minute.
That point was so bad.
After Jay.
Wait a minute. Tony was going to say something. What were you going to say something?
He went to the founder celebration. I don't know, Jay. What happened?
Wait, no. I was just going to say to Jay's point about Leno. Jay, you want to finish what you were saying?
No. I was done.
Okay.
I just want to say to Jay's point about Leno and what he left this team to accomplish. Everybody's always talking about the players that we get, and I always defend the players, right? That I think the players are not put in a position to succeed. When we have seen multiple players leave this team and go and be successful, is it really about the talent that we had, or is it about our ineffective use of the talent that we had?
And see, my thing about the Leno thing, real quick. My thing about the Leno thing was, and I said it right after the draft, Charles Leno had 1 year left on his deal. 1 year. How do you cut a veteran to sign a rookie? How do you cut a veteran? Because you drafted a rookie that played right tackle his entire career, and you're going to move him to left tackle. That makes absolutely no sense. None. This dude has never played left tackle ever. But I'm going to cut my left tackle because I drafted a right tackle that I'm going to convert to left tackle. That's like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, Tammy, I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's lack of development of a player, and also I also keep in mind that some players, they need that second team. Sometimes some players just are happy they're in the NFL and that first team get them, they don't put in that work. You do have those kind of players, and when they get cut or whatever happened, their feelings get hurt. And sometimes some players excel in that second opportunity. Then you have other situations where I do believe that the coaching staff did not manage that talent right, or then put them in a position to win. So I think both feel the same. And as far as Jay point about 2018, that was to me an example of a team that saw what some of the flaws was going to be as they started getting close to the playoff. And one of the major flaws that was happening that year was their inability to have an accurate field goal kicker. And they allowed themselves to, even when they had a bye week, to not bring in some kickers to try them out, because now all of a sudden you're worried about what you owe him. How many kickers we're going to be paying? See, this is what sometimes in corporate America, where stuff sometimes that gets stupid, right? You'll have something crazy happen, and then they worried about we don't want to pay the person unemployment, right? Or something dumb, right? And in this case, you don't want to have a kicker that you just cut, but he's missing field goals in crucial situations. And I think every fan of Chicago, the main thing we was worried about in that playoff was, man, we hope this don't come down to a field goal. Because how many thought that we because down to a field goal, and what it did, it came down to a field goal.
Because you have to realize how many games did they lose by a field goal because he missed a field goal.
Yeah,
you know, so that was the thing. But they had gave Cody Parkey $9 million, and that's all they was thinking about. Like, we didn't give Cody Parkey $9 million. Yeah, but guess what? He ain't kicking in Soldier Field in the wintertime either. So
they got rid of Brennan.
Right. And see, in Jay, that year, what happened was they did lose a couple of games because of field goal kicking. But even when you look at it, the arrogance in it was that they only lost 4 games.
Right.
So that was the arrogance in it, that they only lost 4 games. But about, I believe, 3 of those 4 games they actually lost because of field goal kicking.
Because guess what? Had you won those games, you wouldn't have been playing in the wild card game either.
Correct. You would have been you would have been the first place team. So even you ended up being on the road playing the Eagles because you blew games, right? Because you blew.
Now that game was here. No, that game was here in Soldier Field.
Yeah, it was here. I'm sorry.
The game was here in Soldier Field. But had you won those games, you would have had probably the bye, and you wouldn't even you wouldn't have been in that situation. You know, it's just so many. You know, you could go down the list of things that Pace did, good or bad and indifferent. But at the bottom line is he's had 7 years, 0 playoff appearances. 0 playoff wins, 2 playoff appearances. I mean, how many chances would you get at your job after 7 years and you suck?
Right.
So I agree with Mo on his last 2 points that you put up for him. Like, they should have never got rid of Robbie Gould. And his point before that, I forgot exactly what he said, but I agree with that. And then Jason has said, how's your legacy of football and you know nothing about it? Easily. Oh, yes. The Bears ownership has not known anything about football since Papa Bear George Halas died. When he died, you dismantled a Super Bowl winning team because you were being cheap. We could have got another Super Bowl out of that team. And they have not made good decisions on this franchise since George Halas passed away. And anybody that's been watching the Bears know that. Virginia was probably just a spoiled rich kid who grew up with football money, but she didn't know anything about football. And I definitely don't want to be sexist and say that he didn't have any boys, so they didn't know it. But she didn't learn football the way that she needed to in order to run a football franchise. And then she married a man who didn't come from a football legacy. She married a businessman who ran it that way. Then he raised kids to be business people. They're not a football family. Their father was a football man. They are not football people. And there's a difference. They were born into it. They don't live it. They don't breathe it. You know, and they need to sell it, but we know that probably ain't gonna happen. But
it'll never happen.
That's how it is. Virginia was not was not raised to learn the game to run a football organization. And you can tell by her decision makers. And she married a man who didn't know squat about it and let him run it. And that ain't no nothing kids run.
Okay. Okay. So tomorrow we're gonna hopefully if they do announce something tomorrow, we hope it don't go over to Tuesday, Wednesday. So tomorrow's supposed to be Black Monday, and we are going to regroup and have a quick show based off whatever they say tomorrow. And also, we want our viewers to stay tuned that we're working on a show that we're going to do in the month of February on racism in the NFL. Even terms like that, right? Black Monday, right? I'm like, why is it Black Monday?
Why is it
holiday?
Why is it Black Monday?
Floating holiday Monday.
Right, but anyway, if anybody got any last comments before we close
Negro
out
Football
today,
League.
What's that? What's that?
The Negro Football League. That's what
Okay.
the NFL, the Negro Football League. 70% of the players are black. I'm just anyway. Oh, go ahead.
Anybody else got anything before we close out for the day? Because we'll be back tomorrow once we have information on what they decide to do.
I just want to say, I just want to end it by the way I started. This smile that y'all see on my face. Ryan Pace, I'm sorry, Matt Nagy did it his way. That's all I'm saying.
That's right, Khalid.
Hey, you know what?
Be floating holiday Monday.
When you said that, I thought about Lonzo and training day. He was like, "Oh, y'all gonna put cases on me?"
Right.
Pelican game for all y'all. Gym shoot. 24 hours surveillance. No reason. He went out like Lonzo.
Nagy did it his way, and I ain't mad at him.
He's what happens when you force a black person to come to work on their fire day. Like if you handcuff them and bring them to the job on the day they know they're gonna get fired, you're like, "Oh, you want me to be here? Oh, I'm gonna mess everything
up.
Right.
I'm sabotaging everything.
Everything you ever had will not happen today.
So so I'm good. I'm good.
I want to hear. I would like to. Well, guys, you know this is my last day, so we're gonna go out here and play. You know, I would love to hear his pregame speech. We have nothing to play for. I'll be fired tomorrow, so we're gonna do things my way.
Man, that is so funny, man. I'm thinking about one of my coworkers. I hope I don't get it. Well, it's years ago. I won't mention the race. Too much details, but anyway, she it ended up being her last day, right? But it wasn't supposed to be her last day. So anyway, whatever happened, she didn't like what happened. So anyway, she takes her computer, flips it over, throw her review at the manager, curse out the other manager, takes her coffee, throw it all over the workplace, and leave for an hour and come back and was like, I just went to lunch.
Hey.
And they was trying to figure out, like, no, we thought you had quit, right? Like, look, y'all better turn that ID off. Y'all lucky that she just talking about she went to lunch because she did all that. This is her last day.
That's why they used to fire people at home so they wouldn't show up to the workplace.
Right, so they wouldn't even right.
Like them postal workers and stuff. They'd be like, "Hey,
you fine. We'll send you your stuff. We'll send you your stuff.
We got a box. We'll FedEx to it. You know, don't come here, man. Don't come here."
Well, thank you all for watching Bears Banter, and we'll see y'all tomorrow once we get an announcement. So we'll probably be on approximately 7:00 tomorrow.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
Peace.
Right.